What's up, y'all? I'm John, and I'm the founder and host of Bourbon Battle Buddies, and this is the Bourbon Battle Buddies podcast. It's a show that combines my passion for whiskey with a desire to help America's heroes. They are the men and women in uniform that serve the people of this great nation. Here, we will create a conversation of positivity and motivation and light a spark that will help change the narrative of our servicemen and women suffering from the sometimes invisible, sometimes not so invisible scars that would become their sacrifice to our nation. Sit down in your favorite chair, grab yourself a glass, pour your beverage of choice, and tonight, if you drink, come drink one with us.
This is Audrey McHugh, founder and president of the Amazonian Warrior Foundation. At my foundation, we help veterans break up with PTSD through the release of burden hikes and board sports. We also provide temporary emergency assistance to homeless veterans as needed. The craft and magical expression of bourbon is something quintessentially a veteran experience. Let's explore how to heal from PTSD and exchange ideas on using whiskey for good while drinking whiskey for good.
Uh-oh. What's up, everybody? I'm sure Audrey is... There she is. Welcome to episode 3.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
We're moving steadily forward now with our eye on something. I don't know if there's a prize at the end or not, but we're...
Bourbon, the next pour.
Yeah, but I mean that's not at the end. It's right here.
That's true. I have some gold today.
That stuff I wish was readily available. I cannot get my hands on it. I've only ever seen it once. Tonight we're going to talk about a little discussion on triggers, and how to recognize them, and how to approach them when you see them coming. And but first, Audrey, let's talk about that gold.
Okay, so let's bring my bay out. So, what do you want to know about this golden horse? So, Blanton's, I love especially, right? But it was one of the first bourbons that really bestilled my heart. And when I was in college and just going through bad times, this little horsey was always there. So what makes this one different is if you've had Irish whiskey, this is a very light kind of taste. It has a low proof. So I really just enjoy the lightness to it sometimes. And I have Blanton straight from the barrel. I have Blanton silver. So the silver and gold, I would say, are very kind of similar in that taste. But it's just, it's like my daily pour. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really do pours, or I just do swigs. But it is just it's one of my joys. I mean, I'm known as Blanton's Bay because Blanton's is my bay. I don't ever have to depend on a relationship, but Bourbon Bay will always be there. So that's my joy. That's my baby.
The bottle shape on that one's a tiny bit different, isn't it?
Which one?
The gold that you have. The bottle shape's a little different.
No, I mean the bottle shape is exactly the same. The only thing that's different is it's gold. And then I actually have all of these toppers. So I mean that kind of maybe talks about my...
That was next question. Are the toppers different from gold to regular?
So they're just gold. I
Okay.
mean, they're just gold. The lettering is still there. Blanton's didn't put letters on until the late '90s, and then you can actually collect and have them spell it out. So the older bottles that I have don't have any letters on it.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
yeah. What do you
Tonight
got?
I am drinking Penelope Rosé Cask.
That's
And
a good one.
This is, oh man, I fell in love with it. The only issue I have, and look, it's really cool. It's got a real glass topper,
Oh,
but
that's true.
it's very, very thin,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't really get a good grip on it, and it is extremely hard to get off the top of the bottle.
I guess you got to put it in a decanter then.
So I'm just gonna like leave it kind of like that right now.
Yeah, because I guess you don't want to bottle kill it today, but
No. I got life happening tomorrow, so apparently some people say I need to be a part of it.
oh,
I haven't figured out how to not work yet, but I'm working on it.
I heard there's these things called sick days.
Oh. You're talking to me. Keep it coming. No,
I'm just saying.
there have been many walks to sick call because I was not feeling good.
Because of whiskey?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
No, he usually just take a step to the side of formation and dump it on the ground and jump back in.
Okay, honest question. Honest question.
Go.
How many puke runs had in your military career?
Not a lot, honestly. Maybe 3, but there were some
right.
like that morning before I went to run. So I got it all out before the run, and I'm sure I was like white and sweating before we even got through stretching, but but during a run, maybe 3 times.
Yeah,
really
those are my
too,
favorite.
I was always at the front of the formation,
Mhm.
and so everybody saw it.
Right. Those were my like, because I started drinking good bourbon very early on in life, right? And so I didn't really have hangovers much of at all in my military career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would show up to PT and say we had partied till like 2 o'clock in the morning, got 2 hours of sleep, now we're about to PT, I'd be like, just stretching, just like, all right, like this damn good top shelf has got me going. Like, let's go, y'all.
I will say I've had some really good bourbon when I was in the military too. We drank some old number 7. Some Jack Daniels. You ever heard of him?
I have, yep.
There was some Southern Comfort.
Okay.
Yeah, great stuff. And of course Jose Cuervo. Gold label, all right, Miss Blanton's Gold.
Oh, shit. All right, I'll give you that.
Oh no, all I drank was rot gut stuff in the military, man. It was. I actually gave it up for a while when I got out because I couldn't drink no more.
Me and Elzer Brooks, we had many a days. And then, I started realizing like I'm just gonna drink better stuff and then I'll be able to do everything. And so I did that. I did that for a while. I would say like I don't know, drinking was like it started to become a passion, right? But
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I got a good question. You can't drop off right now, Audrey. I really want to know when was the last time you had a bottle of Mad Dog. Like, I need to know this.
okay. So my first apartment on the beach, I was stationed in Norfolk. I lived right on the beach. And the first night, I was supposed to move in on a Monday, but I got the keys early for the weekend. And so the electricity wasn't even on, right? It wasn't even on yet. But I was like, hey, yo, I have a place to live now, right? Like, we are not in the barracks. We are not on the ship. Like, let's go. So I had a platoon of Marines that I was friends with. And I was like, let's have a Mad Dog 2020 Boone's Farm party. And so we cleared out 3 7-Elevens with trunk full of every fucking melon ball there is, every Mad Dog 2020 fruit punch, right? And we had, I bought a shitload of candles, and we got some food, and we, some of my friends had guitars. And so we just like jammed out for the whole weekend, drinking Mad Dog 2020 Boone's Farm. We had a Boone's Farm party. And to be very fucking honest, I have not touched that shit since then. I mean, when you drink like 10 bottles of fucking Mad Dog 2020 and Boone's Farm, melon ball, eh?
That's a lot. That's a lot of red.
You do that for a whole weekend. You're like, I think I have. We tried every flavor of Boone's Farm there was. We tried every fucking Mad Dog 2020 there was, and I gotta say, like, it was like guitar, super cool candle lighting. I mean, it was a great time. Like, we had a great time, and then we just chilled on the beach and ate. I mean, it was a wonderful experience. Some people threw up. There was definitely one guy, I'm not gonna mention his name out of respect for his grown self, not his Marine Corps self, when he was like 20.
Must have a bad connection tonight. But man, I've spent, my favorite flavor was banana, but I've spent many nights in the barracks hammered back on Mad Dog banana, and never again, Audrey, never again.
Well, I just think it was probably that one time for me, and
oh no. There is a truth to the part where you stated that good whiskey, it just, your body reacts differently to it, right? Like, I'm not saying you can't just chug a bottle of whiskey and you're not going to be drunk. It's not the case. But if you drink it and sip it and taste it, go or chug it out of the bottle. There's a point to enjoying good whiskey and not being hungover in the morning. And
I don't drink whiskey to get drunk.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I drink whiskey for the craft of it and how good it tastes, right? And I have no desire to wake up with a hangover. And I gotta tell you, when you drink good quality whiskey, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't. And I also always stay hydrated. Like, I know from military days, right? Like, I know if I was going to drink, then I was going to carb up, right? So I was going to have a potato or some kind of French fries or a pasta to absorb some of that alcohol. And I always made sure at that time I was drinking a gallon of water every day. So, I mean, I always stayed hydrated. Like, it was not, me getting a hangover was not going to happen, right? Because I knew I had to run PT in the morning. And then I also knew that I was responsible for these Marines that were at my house, right? Like, when I had friends come over, I was the highest rank out of all of them. And so I was saying, I'm going to be responsible for you drinking. And not only are you drinking, but you're drinking at my house. And so when you have rank and then responsibility, and then you put alcohol involved in it, you're like, and then let's be real, like, these jarheads, I love them dearly, but some of them were just like crazy, like just crazy. I mean, some of them I would be like, you are a buzzkill, man. Like, why the fuck are you right now at 2:00 in the morning trying to jump into the ocean and go swimming? Like, where? Where is this okay, bro? Like, can't you be like the rest of us? We're enjoying guitar.
We got a fire on the beach, and we got Boone's Farm, bro.
Why are you doing this to me?
Oh, here she is.
Hey.
Welcome in, Audrey. I was just telling our listeners that we had a special guest coming in tonight, and she drinks Blanton's. That's as far as I got.
That's my jam. I heard Blanton's and I was like, what?
Yeah,
What?
I'll come on. I will be there.
You got any more of those Blanton's over there?
So she reminds me of a Dave Chappelle throwback.
Yes, Dave Chappelle. Yeah, man.
Wow, that dude was
Before all his controversy. Yes,
Yeah.
I love Dave Chappelle, man.
he was
Love me some
awesome.
of that. I definitely watched him in my military days. Like, yeah.
So tonight we were going to talk about triggers and how to. I guess you don't really get to avoid them because a lot of times they just kind of randomly happen, right?
Right.
In fact, I'll share for me the other day. We're working on a house, and there's a 2-story, and it's just it's just a shell of the house, and so we're taking trash out at the end of the day from working all day, and somebody has a bag of trash and throws it out of the second floor window, and it lands like 3 or 4 feet in front of me. And for like the last 45 minutes of the day, I was just like silent, focused, don't talk to nobody. Just like, I can tell that my mood was changed. And my first instinct was to look up and just be like, hey dude, please don't ever do that again. As simple as it seems. And I'm kind of new to this, but it was, for me, I recognize, and before I would have just been aggravated, right? Like I would have just been pissed off that somebody did that to me. But now I'm able to recognize that as maybe that's a trigger for me. And I just kind of take it slow and sit back and let myself calm down. But that's my most recent story.
Yeah. I would say that veterans have to dig down deep and kind of figure out what their triggers are, because there's certain times where we act away, but we don't even know why we're being triggered. Some of them are pretty obvious, right? Like a smell reminds you of something. And so that's one to pick up on. Other ones are like maybe not so known, like you've tied your trauma to a song, right? And you don't even understand why that song maybe hides a memory for you or makes you feel a certain way because you used it as a way to cope to get through something. So there's a lot of that. I would say I'm definitely triggered by sound. And I would say I won't call it a failure. I was just really disappointed in myself that this happened. But again, you can't control this. So I was camping with my kids, and we were in a campground, and it was 4th of July weekend, which is last 4th of July. And these people like put fireworks off like right by my camper. And literally, I went into like a panic attack, right, where I couldn't breathe. And it took my kids like 10 minutes to get me out of it. Like I could see my kids, I could hear what they were saying, but I was like stuck in a flashback and there wasn't shit I could do about it, right? Like there was nothing I could do to end it any faster. I felt bad as their parent that it took so long for me to get out of that. I was like, so that's what I'm saying, like that disappointment sort of aspect piece of it. And so then I was like, well, I really want to get after that. Like it should never take me 10 minutes to do that, right? It should never take 10 minutes to come out of something like that. So that's when I was like, okay, well, I've identified this. So what can I do to mitigate it now, right? And so that's when I really started getting into deep, right? And saying, okay, in this therapy session, like, why did that happen? Like, what can I do? So I learned how to do different breathing techniques where I could put my finger on my nose and then like suck it in for 5 seconds, right? Because what I learned is that the body will go into a trauma cycle and will keep you there as long as it can, right? PTSD is like this torturous, abusive asshole. So if you get oxygen to your brain can stop and re-regulate, right? So that's why a lot of breathing techniques, that's why people say breathe, do this, but not all breath work works for some people because some of their triggers is breath work, right? Is breathing. Yeah. So that could be a trigger within itself. So I had to really like go down deep and be like, well, why is this a trigger, right? And so I did that. But it wasn't easy work. So now like I've done my own like type of exposure therapy where I've exposed myself to different sounds or just like not reaction, so startled to something. And so that's been helpful, but like getting to really go down deep with myself and understanding what triggers are, or even, I don't know if you have this, but like certain foods, right? Certain foods for me, like kind of like, I was like, oh, well, I'm stressed out. Why the fuck am I eating this right now? And then I'm like, oh, I had a flashback earlier, or I had a nightmare earlier in the day, right? And I was like, I started connecting the dots with each other. And so everyone's triggers are very different, but there's a lot that we can learn from each other just by talking about it, just by saying like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, there's certain foods that trigger memories for me or flashbacks or things that I'll just run out and be like, oh, I'm going to do that. Right. Certain smells. And I just chose to do exposure therapy to kind of like mitigate some of that. And it's not easy because you're really just immersing yourself in it. Like,
well, it sounds to me like you still got that I mean, Amazonian warrior. Sounds to me like you still got that warrior mindset. Like, I'm not gonna let this beat me. I'm gonna jump out there and make myself be better than
right.
this.
Yeah. I decided, before I started my foundation, right, I had to heal first. And I felt like I'm gonna attack this shit, right? Like this thing is not gonna beat me. I'm not gonna let it continue to control my life. And I started getting into the science of it. Like neuroscience is really, I'm quite the nerd. I don't care. I was like, oh, so my brain is just messed up. Well, and then once I realized like a lot of it is re-regulating the oxygen in your brain and that shuts it off as fast as possible, right? So I was like, okay, cool. What techniques can I use? And they were like, I went through DBT and they were like, you can put your face in a bowl of water, right? And they actually can show that your heart rate and pulse actually decreases from using a method like that. Well, you don't exactly have a fucking bowl of water around you all the time, but you could start trying to splash water on your face. So I was like, I'm gonna try every single 250 things that are on this list that they're saying that, this is a way that you can attack this and see what works for me, because I can't recommend something to someone how they should heal if I haven't tried it myself. That's just what it felt like. Like I had to attack so that I can help others. And I would say that I've done pretty well. My triggers are still there, but I'm able to like, with my ammo box, right? That's what I call it. Like what I got in here, I could pull something out and really just nip it in the ass as fast as possible. So rather than let it affect me the whole day.
Here's a question for you, or anybody else that wants to answer it if they're listening to this. But do the same techniques work all the time for you? So like you figured out, just say for instance, putting your face in a bowl of water worked, and that was great for you, and the next time you tried it didn't work. Does that happen often?
No. So for that, yeah, for that technique, so me, I took it to a whole nother level, right? So I was like, oh, ice baths, cold water, that's cute, right? Like, what would an Amazonian do? So I was like, oh, I will just go sit in waterfalls. right? So I took it like I took it way up here. But the water technique is a proven methodology, and it works every time for me. But I
Okay.
do
Awesome.
realize that, like, when I'm very stressed out, because obviously the life passion that I have chosen is to help other veterans that are struggling, especially when people call me that they're having domestic violence or they're suicidal, or, you know, they're threatening to kill themselves. Or I've found out that people have killed themselves. It's a stressful job, right? Like, and I'm doing it for free, right? Like, so there are times where I just have to break away, go meditate in a waterfall, and then come back into the fight, right? Because I'm like, I'm feeling all the emotions as if I'm that person, as if I'm that family member of that person, and then having my own trauma come up, you know? So especially somebody calls me and says, hey, I just got raped on active duty. What do I do? And then I listen to them and their story is similar to mine. That's a lot to take in, right? But
Yeah.
first I have to assess the situation, make sure that they're good mentally, find out what advocate I can refer them to, see what legal help they need, see if they're going to stay in the military, figure out if I'm going to help them file a claim. There's like so many steps, right? But
Yeah.
then after that, I have to take a moment and be like, okay, I'm going to process all of this. I'm going to have the flashbacks of my own trauma, and then I'm going to get back after it. So I've really had to learn like self,
Oh no.
because I don't think that I don't think you could really shield yourself from those kind of things. Like I don't think that, you know, when someone's saying that they were body slammed or smothered with a pillow or choked or any of those things, and that's exactly some of the things that happened to me, like I can't just pretend like that stuff's not going to come up for me. So
Yeah. Are there any other instances you've had where a technique works once and doesn't work again? I guess the reason why I'm asking is
I would
because
say
I
for
want to
me,
know.
I tried
Sorry, looks like Audrey. Nope, there you are.
yeah. I would say that I tried. I tried
Sorry.
acupuncture. I tried acupuncture, and that didn't really work for me at all. But yet, I was with another veteran where they had a trigger and they did it right through their ear. There's like an actual a protocol just for PTSD, and
Mhm.
that really helped them. But it didn't do nothing for me. Didn't do
Okay.
nothing. And I tried it like 3 times because I was like, well, I don't want to try it once and just be like, nah, it didn't work, right? But I tried it and it didn't do anything for me. I felt a little bit relaxed, but it didn't do what it was supposed to for me. So that was one that I was like, damn, man, I really wanted that to work. And
So yeah, I mean, the reason I asked is because I know you mentioned a toolbox, and that typically implies that you don't just walk into a job with a crescent wrench and expect to get the job done. You know what I mean? You got to have more than one tool.
yeah, so there's lots of lists of different ways to kind of recenter yourself. Um, and there's so many. There's sitting in nature, right? That one definitely works for me. There's there's listening to music. There's like a bunch of ones that I would encourage people to just go down the list and kind of see what works for you.
I think music is one of my big ones, man.
Yeah.
There's times when I just turn on music and sit with headphones on and just pretend I'm by myself. I may or may not sing like I'm in the shower. I don't know. Hopefully
Judgment free
nobody
zone,
records.
judgment free zone. Like, I'm all about just, you know, if you're feeling it, sing it, right? In my foundation, we use music a lot. I have this thing called pain progression music theory. It's something that I invented. And so just having people go through a song that they might have trauma stored with and saying, okay, well, what lyric triggers you, or what lyric in this song is making you feel this way right now? Why are you listening to it? And then we use board sports to go through it. And then I have them re-listen to the song. And a lot of the times they're not even on that same lyric anymore. We've made a sad song into a happy one, right? And so then I'm like, okay, well, let's listen to it again. Let's see what you hear this time. And so we go through it. And a lot of times I'm like, this time I want you to focus on the instrument. Like, what instrument calls to you in this song? Like, what beat are you feeling right now? Are you at a quarter note? Like where are you at here? And then it's like, what frequency are you on for this song? So a lot of us actually have trauma stored in music. I've had memories stored in music that I was like, well, damn, man, I haven't remembered that for 20 years. There are certain songs that I listen to after being raped multiple times that, like, literally, like, I'll say Pearl Jam, Alive, right? Was one of the first songs I listened to after I spent 5 hours in a shower. So there's a lyric in there, and it says, basically, you know, am I alive? Do I deserve to be? Is that the question? And if so, who answers, right? And so, like, I'm struggling with wanting to die because this happened to me. And I'm like asking myself, like, do I deserve to be alive at this point? So it was definitely meaningful for me to have this song connect with me in that way and kind of save.
I can attest to music triggering memories, or memories being stored in music. That part for me, I will say happens, but I don't know that I've had any trauma that was associated with music. I have a question for you. When
Okay.
you were overseas, when you were on a mission or anything like that, was there anything that just, like, this one song that just drew you in and, like, it just carried you through the whole time until you were done?
I would say I listen to a lot of Pearl Jam. I would say that if I wanted to get, like, hyped up, right?
Mhm.
Like, I would listen to Godsmack. And
Yeah.
then if I was, like, feeling extra like motherfuckers should die, right? It was like Five Finger Death Punch. So I had those moments, but definitely, like, Pearl Jam's my favorite band. So, but yeah, I listen to a lot of gangster rap too. Like, I'm from Yonkers, New York, so I love the Locks. I love DMX. I love Biggie. I love Nas. But then, like, you know, Etta James, Ella Fitzgerald, they're from Yonkers too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love jazz. I love classical music. I love probably every single genre of music. I have someone that I can relate to, or I love their music. So, yeah. But yeah, I love me some. I snowboard a lot to 90s gangster rap. It's definitely the go-to. I have a playlist for snowboarding, and before I snowboard, I usually one wheel what line I'm going to do,
Mhm.
and I usually train on that song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you on Instagram rolling around, or Facebook Reels. I don't know, one of them, rolling around
Yeah.
on these one wheel boards, man. That yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even
That seems like a
sometimes I don't
broken
even.
bone to me, Audrey. That's what that seems like.
Nah, man, that's pure love and joy, man. Pure love and joy. So I try to keep it around 20 miles per hour. I
Mhm.
don't try to go faster than that. I can, and I have gone faster, but there's not a need for it anymore, right? So it really just kind of depends on what music I'm cruising to. I love a lot of Rage Against the Machine. I can't help it, man. When I put Rage on, it's like especially the song, there's Prophets of Rage has a song called Unfuck the World, right? And that's literally what I'm trying to do is unfuck this world.
Yeah.
And so like that's my go-to, like this shit's going on, we're gonna make a difference, let's jam out to it. So I've tried to just one wheel instead of race my car with it because like, if that's not a valid excuse, like, well, officer, I had Rage Against the Machine on, I was fucking feeling it, and I didn't realize I was going 145, my B. So, I'm trying to one wheel instead. I use my own board sport therapy because it's helpful. It's helpful. So, yeah.
Dang it.
I could get you on a one wheel. I just want to let you know, like, I've had veterans who are like 80 years old get on the one wheel.
It's not impossible, but I'm just going to tell you.
There's amputees. There's a guy who is an Army amputee, and he is on a one wheel. He doesn't have any lower limbs, and he's on a one wheel.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's possible for everyone, and nobody has to go as fast as that. You can just cruise.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would just need like a padded room with bubble wrap.
And some people do that. They have shin guards, wrist guards. I always try to ride with a helmet because I have a traumatic brain injury, so I want to keep this head for a little bit. And they have like butt guards or something. I don't personally. Now let me just say, I would have gotten a sprained meniscus if I had knee pads on in the park, right? And then I got some pretty good scars, like here. I mean, I have some road rash here where just the meat's gone. It's just a circle. I got it on my knees, and for me, they're like, I attempted to do something, and yeah, I got fucked up, but I went back on, right? And so I think as a person who is a boarder, like it's just like a badge of honor. It's like you're gonna get fucked up if you want to try something cool, and I'm not unopposed to people putting safety over that. I just personally don't ride like that. And would I have these scars if I had that stuff? No, but I probably wouldn't have the memory of that either, right? Like, this one is from Chicago. Like, I can look down at my arm and be like, that was the first time I one-wheeled after I broke my foot, and I was told that I would never walk again after waiting 18 months to be able to walk. So it took a couple of years for me to get back on it, right? But I was like, I'm going to do it no matter what. And I got fucked up. The first time. I'm not going to lie. I pushed the board faster than what I was supposed to, and I paid the price. And I don't know. It's a learning. I think when you do board sports, your board teaches you, right? And people think that they own their snowboard, they own their one wheel. And I feel like every time I get on a board, I have something new to experience, right? Like whether it's learning a new curve or a new movement, it's really just a way to have this relationship with something that's always going to grow. So my board and I are one. This is my rifle. There is no other. It's kind of like that. I let people ride it, but like I don't really want to. I'll let kids on the streets. Like I'll be riding on the streets down in DC and home, and these kids see it and they're like, I'm like, you want to try it? And I put them on it so they can experience it. So I'm sharing and giving in that way, but I don't really like dudes trying to get on my one wheel. Yeah. I have other boards that they could use, but this one is mine. I don't really need you on that.
But you can't share everything.
Right. I will, but
for yourself, and this is it. Don't touch the board or the blends.
Right. I will share both, but I don't really want to share my board time. Especially if I got a good jam on, man. I'm just like,
yeah. Well,
I'm like, you have to get off my board. I need to ride to this song. This one's my song. Like,
I'll be back in about
Kick
5
rocks.
minutes and 42 seconds.
Oh no, I'll be gone for like 20, 30 minutes. I can't help it.
The
It's
next
just
song was good too. I'm sorry. Sorry you've been
yeah.
sitting on this corner waiting for me.
Right. I'm like, if you could do this deal, yeah.
When I was overseas, I don't even know if the song was brand new or not. I didn't know anything about the guy. I just knew there was this song by a guy called Paradise,
Okay.
and I would like somebody came and they were listening to this song, and everybody had their headphones on, walking around, and it wasn't the over the ear ones; those weren't out yet. Wasn't the pods; those weren't out yet. It was probably a Walkman. But anyways, I was like, dude, I want this CD. It was a CD, not a cassette, but not that old.
CD
It ended up,
Walkman, those were the days, bro.
yeah,
Those were
you
the
couldn't walk too
days.
fast. You couldn't jog because they would skip. But yeah.
You had to tie that shit down onto your belt or something to be able to keep riding with it. And then you're running and it skips. You're like, trying to sing to it. And you're like, you have to anticipate the skips, right?
Man, you know what would have made these deployments and things so much better and I don't know if the technology was there. I don't think it was, but if it was and I didn't have it, shame on me. If we'd had a Bluetooth speaker to throw in the cab of the Humvee while we were riding around, that would have been the best.
Yeah,
But
we didn't have that yet. But what about portable DVD players, man? That shit was
oh, that
life.
was fire.
Portable. Did you have the fucking? I mean,
Yeah.
I remember having all my CDs and all my DVDs lined up in the binder, right?
Yep.
And just be like, "What?"
I still have the binder. Yeah, I've still got a binder full of DVDs and another one full of CDs. For sure. So
That's what's up.
there was a time when I was overseas that portable DVD player actually gave me a reason to meet new people from the Fiji army. And every day, I know, right? The island of Fiji had its own army, and
That's
these
dope.
guys are overseas. And every night when they would finish with their mission for the day, they'd come back and they'd find me, and we'd all hang out and watch a DVD at like freaking 6 people piled up around a 4-inch screen. But it was cool, man. It was very awesome. I made some great friendships with some people over there. It was pretty awesome. But back on the song was Paradise, and I didn't know anything about who sang it or anything like that, but it was about the military, and it basically says when you've been where I've been, any kind of life is paradise. And then I really fell in love with the song, and I listened to it on repeat for a couple of days, just trying to memorize it. And when I finally got it, I ended up learning after deployment and all that. It was actually a Craig Morgan song, and Craig Morgan was he was a drum master, 82nd Airborne.
That's what's up.
Which, strangely enough, I was on Fort Bragg attached to 82nd Airborne, so I don't know. I'm sure he
It's
was
your
out.
spirit animal.
Yeah, but in fact, I still love Craig Morgan. Great music, but that was a song that I really connected to over there, and the other one was this is gonna sound weird. I don't know why I connected to it overseas, but it was Aerosmith, "Dream On." I freaking played that song nonstop. Loved it. It was I think it was right before I got the Paradise by Craig Morgan, but yeah, Aerosmith, "Dream On." That was my song, man.
Really? Oh, nah, bro. Nah, that's not me. I'm
Probably
like,
because I was streaming,
yeah, so I mean, Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Incubus, Third Eye Blind.
Oh, I
I
love
actually saw
Incubus.
Third Eye Blind and Three Doors Down when I was in Norfolk, and I saw Breaking Benjamin. I love music, so it was like a big deal for me. I went during the summer and I went and saw Stevie Nicks. And then
Oh,
I saw Green Day, and it was on the beach. And so I went surfing, and it's called See Here Now, and they do it on the beach. And then so I went there in New Jersey. But yo, I was like really telling myself, like, all right, you know your PTSD is bad. You know you've been avoiding like really big masses of people, right? Can you get through PTSD and fucking just enjoy music for a change? Because I was real concerned about being there after like dealing with that shit with fireworks, right? And so I was like, damn, I don't know how I'm gonna react. And so what's crazy to me is like Green Day's playing, and out of nowhere they do these fucking fireworks, and I'm like singing, you know, one of my favorite songs for Green Day, and I was like, all right, I know I'm triggered, but if I just sit through this and I just sing this song like with all of my fucking being right now, I'm gonna be okay. But there's so many people there, and I did it anyway, and I was super proud of myself. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not going to a concert, right? Like, my PTSD is so bad, I'm never going back around that many people. And for me, that's like, I understand it, right? Because I used to be like that. But now I'm like, nah, I'm going to immerse myself, even if I'm uncomfortable, because I just want to have some sense of normalcy. Like, I know I'm going to be triggered. I know there's nothing else I could do about it, but fuck, man, I'm just going to enjoy a concert, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm just going to enjoy music because that's what PTSD does. It takes everything from us. And, you know, at a certain point, I'm like, well, I'm not going to allow it. Like, I know I'm going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay, because I love this band enough to get through this. Yeah.
I have found that sometimes going to a live show is triggering, and sometimes it's not, and maybe it just depends on, I don't know what are we moving to?
Connemara,
Nice.
Irish whiskey.
I like Irish whiskey. I have not had a lot of it, but I do like Irish whiskey.
Well,
It's very
it's in
mellow.
it's in my lineage, so might as well drink it.
So I found that when you get into like some concerts are triggering, and it's not necessarily the concert. I think it's just the mood you're in when you're at that concert. Maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for
Sometimes
us,
you just
it's
need
like
to get up and get the hell out, because you can't focus through it long enough to I guess overcome.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, first of all, what we learned in the military is situational awareness, right? Knowing where all your exit are, that's cool, right? Knowing if something bad popped off, where we would go, right, to leave the situation, or how we would defend ourselves. That's a good thing. Hypervigilance is part of PTSD, right? So
Yeah.
hypervigilance is that flare up of what situational awareness is supposed to be. So that hypervigilance is you're constantly looking, you're like, you know, feeling a little bit on your chest and stuff like that. And so as veterans or warriors, we have to get back into situational awareness and not focused into the hyper vigilance part. And that takes practice. It really does. And so I can't just recommend like you should just throw yourself into it like I did. You know, at my foundation, I'll just ease you into it, right? Ease you into it. I don't just like be like, well, you know, my little brother has this really funny story. And he still tells it to everybody, right? Before I even meet these people, they know something about me. He was like, my little brother was like, I don't know how to swim. So I took his ass and threw him in 30 feet of water. And I'm not even lying, right? And I'm a little bit older than him, right? He's 26, you know. And I just threw his ass in there. He started swimming because he wanted to survive, right? He's like,
No.
He wanted to live, right? So that's what you got to do sometimes. Sometimes you just got to throw yourself into it, and you'll see that your ability to survive and adapt is natural to you, right? But so he tells everybody in this story, my sister, she threw my ass in here, and he was like, but I swam. I swam. And he's like, and he's like, I used that as a life lesson because I did. I didn't believe I could, and I adapted to it and I overcame. And I think that's really the lesson about PTSD. You have to adapt to it and overcome. And we can. It takes a lot of work. Healing is healthy hard. Like, that is my saying that I say. Like, healing is not it's not fun, right? Like, it's not fun to look into yourself and say, well, is some of this trauma that I caused? Usually it's not for PTSD at all, right? Usually it's outside. And you're like, well, shit, why do I have to recover from this? Like, I didn't do this, or I didn't ask for this shit, right? But that's the shit we've been dealt. And so it's going to be hard, but it's going to be healthy at the end of it. You're going to be healthier because of it. It's not going to be easy. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of dark shit you got to go through. Uncomfortableness, getting real with yourself, going deep, crying a little bit, screaming, punching a fucking tree if you need to. Just don't kill the tree, okay? But getting it out is what you have to do to heal.
I think
don't hurt my tree.
It goes back to PT. Well, I'm thinking so. If anything, I'll be hurting myself. If I start smoking anywhere up here, just
come on, Army, give yourself more credit. Except for when it's our football game, then y'all could just
sit down, take a back seat. So I think
for now I'll be encouraging, but when it's football time,
all bets are off, man.
That's right.
When you said PTSD wasn't caused by you in most cases, right? And I think that plays into the reason why you put in the hard work to get over it, or to get past it, or to get through it. And that's because if something that you didn't do to yourself is controlling you to that point, then you don't have control of yourself, and something that harms you is controlling you.
Right.
So you've got to take back that part of your life, and I think that's important. An important part of everything that just happened is to take back control of you.
Yeah, because we're carrying a burden that's not ours to carry, right? Like, we're carrying guilt, we're carrying shame, we're carrying around shame that we perceive PTSD as weakness, right? And like, that's just not ours to carry anymore. And at a certain time, you have to realize that you are worthy enough to drop it, right? You are worthy enough to drop that fucking burden. You are. And there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? Like, I realize this is not mine to carry anymore. This is not it. Like, this is not my life. A lot of people are saying, like, they always talk about their life before the trauma happened, right? And like, it's like, you have to know what your life is now in the present moment, and be okay with saying, you know what? I'm not going to heal overnight. This trauma didn't happen overnight, right? Like, it's taken over 20 years for me to get to the point where I can talk about stuff. And that's okay, because a lot of us have been in this war state for over 20 years, whether you were still in the military for that long or not. The trauma has stayed there for that long. And a lot of us are now starting to heal from it. And we're just trying to get as many as we can and say, hey, man, I'm not perfect, but it's a little bit better over here. Like, you don't have to keep struggling in this darkness. It's not light for me every day, but damn, I found a better way, and I want you to go on your path so you can find a better way. It doesn't mean everything in my toolbox works for you, but man, there's over 250 of them for you to try. So something's going to stick, right?
Yeah.
At least 5 of them are going to work for you. And you just have to start trying them. That's it. Start trying them.
One more question.
No.
Okay. That was easy.
Go ahead.
I know a lot of people, the fireworks trigger.
Yeah.
It's not just for popping balloons at a birthday party when you're not expecting it, just things like that. is that trigger, let's just say you're expecting it, right? Like, oh, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to shoot this, I mean, not a bottle rocket, those aren't loud. Just, but somebody's about to shoot this firework off and I'm watching it happen. Is that, for me, if I'm looking at it and I'm expecting it and I'm ready for it and I'm a part of it, it's a little different than if it happens without my knowledge, or
Yep.
and I'm just not even focused on anything. And I think that goes back to the also when I watch TV, anything like that, right? Like the volume is not very loud because I want to hear everything around me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking in every single sound. Like, so my hearing is already hyper focused on everything. And then something breaks that silence or whatever. I'm, listening for something and it's really loud and it drives me freaking nuts. And, for me, I think for me, I'm just, it's the hearing thing, right? But, I'm not effective when I'm ready for it. I'm not effective when I'm a part of it and I'm expecting it. It's
Mm-hmm.
the, like on 4th of July, I've built myself up all day for this. So I can usually handle it. I'm just curious if that was me or if that's typical.
Yeah, so what I have found, as I've really healed, is that yeah, I used to brace myself for it, right? Like, okay, I know this holiday's coming up, or I know I'm going to this event. I'm gonna have loud noises. Like, where's the exit? So if it gets too overwhelming, like if I get ringing in my ear, like where the fuck can I go, right? That sort of thing. To have a moment, maybe I could just go back to my car and just fucking breathe for a little bit, scream, and then rejoin, and nobody even knows what happened, right? But I do. And then I'm just gonna, put on my best face and continue forward. So what I've really challenged myself is to start getting used to sounds that I don't expect, because when we train in the military, we train for the unexpected, right? And so I had to really tell myself, like, well, it's okay. Like, you're not weak, right? Like, this sound just came through. This is one of your triggers, and you're diagnosed with PTSD, homie. Like, why? I feel like we are the most critical of ourselves. Like, the shit you say to yourself inside your head, you would never tell your battle, right? You would never tell your battle some of the things you tell yourself. And
No.
so I had to learn to be kinder to myself, right? And be like, all right, man, it's okay that happened. Like, you did go to a concert, fireworks happened unexpectedly. And yes, you were triggered, but you got through it, right? Like, you got right back into the music after a while and you super enjoyed it. And so, there's a point of where you're vulnerable with yourself. And I think that's very, very important. Like, to just accept where you are in the moment and go where you're going to go from there. And so I've gotten better with it. Like, I'm happy to say that. I don't think I'm going to be like 100% like never affected by it, but I'm training for the unexpected. That's the most important thing, is I'm training for the unexpected, as if I have my military mindset, right? Training for the unexpected and knowing that I am going to get caught off guard sometimes, but how do I respond?
And I think that's the part where I'm at right now, is I'm trying to figure
I've
out.
caught him next time.
You were breaking up a bit, so I think that's what I'm trying to figure out right now is exactly how do I know I can't control the trigger, but how do I control the response to the trigger?
Right.
And that's what that's what I'm working on personally. So
Yeah, the faster you get into the present moment, the faster you can break the cycle of it. Right. The faster you can end your triggering moment. And that's super hard. And that's something that you really got to sink into, like, whether it's breathing, right? Or whether it is just doing, music at that time, drawing, getting back to it as fast as you can, because we disassociate. we disassociate. So we don't stay in the present moment. Like we're like, all right, I'm just going to stare off to space now because this just happened and I'm just going to disassociate from it. It's not real. It's not happening, right? That kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's just pushing it off. That's pushing it off. And we're disassociating from the pain or the trigger itself. And so that's where it's like veterans don't really stay in the present moment. We don't really live our life in the moment. We're either stuck in the past of that trauma or the future. Coming back into the present moment, that's when we start truly living. And I guess for me, it's like, am I honoring my brothers and sisters that have fallen if I'm not staying in the present moment as much as possible? And I don't think I am, right? So that's why I kind of have that as my own mindfulness. That's my own way of saying, like, you know, the people that I know, like Denisha Montgomery Smith, she's gone, right? And she has kids and she can't spend this time with her kids. So, like, when I'm having a stressful moment, I check myself pretty quickly. Like, it's a reminder for me, like, she's not here to do this. She's not here to enjoy time with her family. She's not here to enjoy an argument, right? Like, so that's my way of keeping myself back in the present moment as much as possible. Because I don't feel like we honor them enough.
I can see that. If you're not living in the present, then where are you? You know, the sacrifice wasn't given for anything else than for us to enjoy what we have.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to run this at the bottom real quick. We're trying to work out a.
So good. It's a peaty one.
I've not seen that.
Irish whiskey.
Is that a special?
No, that's just a regular Connemara. Connemara, Ireland is actually. This is actually a rock from Connemara. This is called Connemara. This is a type of marble that you can get in Ireland, and so that's a type of whiskey from that area. It's very peaty, so a lot of people don't like it, but I do.
Sure.
Don't worry, bro. I'm sending you some good stuff soon. Don't you worry.
We're working on getting some guests to come on, and we just got to work out the scheduling for it and everything else to where we could.
Yeah, I'm very excited about our future guests. Super stoked.
It's gonna be fun. But
stoked level risen.
We'll give you guys a heads up before they come on and or before the episodes come out, however that tends to work. But if you're good, I think I'm good, and I'd like to call it a night. Get some time in with the kid. I'm gonna go try and watch that Super Mario movie tonight.
Sweet, dope. Yeah, I think I'm going to. I already watched Equalizer. There's a show on there, so I think
That's just the one with Queen Latifah.
Yes, I fucking love it.
Good show.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's such a queen. And so I don't know. I think I might read some Stephen A. Smith. I got his Straight Shooter book. My Yankees are playing, so I'm gonna go check the score and get after it. So.
We share a little positive quote from the Bourbon Battle Buddies Facebook page.
Hoorah.
No matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter how deep or dark the hole you're in gets. You're capable of more than you can imagine if you just choose to stay strong. I know life ain't always easy, and it can get tough, but your mind will tire of the battle before your body does. Fight, push through for just a little longer. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. You got this. You're a warrior. And I believe that 100%. I think the ending says it all. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. You know, everything around you changes. If it's good, it won't stay that way. If it's bad, it won't stay that way. If it's mediocre, it's not going to stay that way. You get to take which parts of these moments that you want to allow to be a part of your life, and you get to let those change you in a positive way, and you get to move forward and see what's next, but the moment doesn't last. Audrey?
And I would just add to that, right? That even if you're going through a tough time, even if you're going through darkness, I just want you to know, like, it's not going to stay that way, right? It's truly not. And don't give up. We're here. My foundation is here. 988 is here. Even when you feel like you have no one, right? Just remember that we are your military family. And you do have 2 people right here that are willing to talk to you. And we might not be able to help you immediately, right? But we can at least talk to you. Sometimes somebody just wants to just talk. Say all this shit's bad, right? Can you just listen to me? I just want to fucking rant right now. And that's okay.
Definitely. Sometimes when you listen, when you get the privilege to listen to somebody rant, it allows you to unload a little bit too, you know what I mean? Because you can get there and be like, yeah, I agree, fuck that.
Right.
But no, it's
you can be like, yes, the Red Sox do fucking suck. Yes, they do.
I mean, they're not. Let's just not right now. Eventually, the Braves and the Yankees will be playing in the World Series again, and
Braves are playing right now.
Then we will have this conversation.
Oh, it's on, then. It's on. Like, I'm gonna put some X-Lax and some liquor. I'll send you or something.
Note to self: don't drink any of Audrey's samples during the World Series. Oh shit. Man, and this is honestly, if you want to jump in, the Bourbon Battle Buddies has several outlets on Facebook. There's a group out there that you will have the ability to speak to myself and Audrey, and get responses from either of us. Look us up on Facebook and we just have these conversations. That's what it's about, right? We want to be able to have these conversations. And if there's any resources or anything that we can help you with, I'm sure between the 2 of us, there's quite a bit of resources that we have access to. So we will help veterans out in any way that we know how. And all you got to do is reach out.
Absolutely. And you're not alone.
Definitely not. Well, that's it for tonight. This was man, it was, I struggle with that word. It was good. I learned a little bit tonight.
I hope you learned a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I did. I felt like I was in therapy with Audrey for a minute, which was cool.
Wait till I put you on a snowboard, then the real healing happens.
Are you interested in the job, Audrey? The VA. I'm just playing.
Yeah. I mean, bourbon therapy sounds super dope. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, I would say I'll bring the bourbon, but I'm not if I'm going to visit Snowboard Alley. I'm definitely not bringing the bourbon. That's going to be on you.
Right, that's always here. That's available for veterans to drink. I have special bottles that are just for first responders, just for veterans, and that's available. That's for sure available.
Awesome. Well, that's it. Check us out on pretty much anywhere you can find your podcast. If you look for us and you don't find us, let us know, and we will try to make sure you find us next time you look. Tonight we're going to close out with our song from veteran Chris Turner. It's called If You Drink.
He was driving somewhere between Gallup and Winslow on an old stretch of Route 66. At the end of his rope, looking for hope, but he found this old bar here instead. The neon was dusty, the door hinges rusty, on the window a handwritten sign. Between the Paps and the Coors and the two swinging doors, faded words, but he read them just fine. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie, lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then come drink one with us. The whole place was packed. The waitress waved him on back, set him up on the last stool. She said, man, I can tell you've been going through hell. Well, we've all come out of there too, and we live by our own golden rule. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie, lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then come drink one with us. All we can do is the best that we can. So we're all sinners, forgivers, and friends. If you cheat, hope it's death that you're cheating. If you lie, lie with someone you love. If you fight, do it for the right reasons. If you drink, then come drink one with us. If you drink, then come drink one with us. Drink one with us.